Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the All Star Wrestling Review Series for the 15th of August, 1981, right before my birthday, a couple of weeks before my first, actually, my birth would be even better. Born in September 81. Anyway, so as we kind of move forward into this, we're going to have, I think by the time we're done, about 140 of these. Also going to have going into the 2000th audio and about 120 or so here, 110, 120 or so. But anyhow, old school, new school, all points in between, wrestling of all times. And certainly enjoying that. We're going to eventually have 20, 30, 40,000 of these. Who knows how many we end up with in the review category. Was going to do interviews with people starting pretty soon, but there's some challenges to that. My schedule isn't as friendly as I'd like it to be, and also finding time that works for people. But we'll return to interviews. We got about 13 or 14 of them up with some national stars over the last little while. Pedro Morales defeating Jack Carson after the bout. Pat Patterson interviews Rick McGraw at ringside, who's wearing a neck brace and says he hoped to know in a couple of weeks if and when he can return to the ring. That does not happen for Rick McGraw here in the WWF. Carson is a guy that, in fact, the wonder of um, Pedro has faced before. So not necessarily sure why you would bring about the same match multiple times, other than the fact you don't have as many enhancement talents as you'd like to have, or something of that general nature. But anyway, Pedro Morales dimly lit here in August of '81, and not exactly getting everything he wants there. Some side headlocks, basic stuff, and ultimately leading to a armbar and series of them actually by Pedro. Pedro, kind of managing to get the side headlock takeover and the overall run of things there. Takedown by Pedro. Pedro kind of cranking on the leg. Post Pedro being the Intercontinental Champion, 81 for the rest of the year really doesn't go that well for him. I don't think that he becomes a multi-time Intercontinental Champion, although I could be wrong. My pre-85 WWF history is a little wonky, and for some reason, the years 82 through 84, hard to find, 82 and 83 anyway, hard to find a lot of footage of for some odd reason, but Carlson backing up from Pedro quite a bit. Pedro known for the Boston Crab and eventually goes for it, gets the victory and lays the man out. And again, Rick McGraw saying in an interview that he is not sure about his future with the WWF or wrestling in general. Once again, Killer Khan given the credit for breaking his neck. Grand Wizard and Greg Valentine out here next. Valentine probably in one of the better robes that he's ever had, black and red, with the robe for Valentine, and we see Valentine kind of continuing to be a major force in the area without really doing a lot in terms of big time matches, as it were. I mean, you're not gonna say the match is weak or anything, but at the same time, certainly not exactly a lot of challenges. Muhammad Saeed gets beat with a submission, 608. Valentine applies the hold again on Saeed, and he's taken out on a stretcher. So really trying to get the figure four over for Valentine as a major finish. Odd that Ric Flair on the NWA, the other primary territory, is also put in a position of that being the case here. So just interesting. I mean, Valentine doesn't certainly need 6 minutes to beat his man, but I think they're trying to get people used to seeing more Valentine because he does end up going, several 60-minute matches and the like, as it were. And, you know, shots to Valentine, kicks to the back of the leg, staying on the leg, arm bars, and the like, and super simple stuff. We then see Valentine cranking down on his man and gets to where he needs to be, ties the man up, doesn't get everything he wants, but a shot to the back of the knee, and then manages to do everything he possibly can along the way. And eventually hooks on the figure four not once, as mentioned, but twice. Obviously, Valentine is a major force in the WWF from about 84 through 92, 93, taking a short break to go to back to Crockett. But Valentine also a super talent at the time. Basically, the Wizard insinuates that people need to be punished and that Greg Valentine is going to be the one to bring them the punishment they need. Not necessarily sure I understand that logic, but it's there. And so Valentine, pretty aggressive slash assertive about doing all of that, that is being aggressive in that way. And we continue to go into a run there. Don Muraco up next, the Intercontinental Champion, of course, with the Grand Wizard. There is talk of him getting fined for spitting on the belt a few weeks before, and Muraco, very one-sided. Squash match up here next, not a big surprise there either. But it's ultimately where and what is needed. Muraco defeating Steve King. One-sided match, punch kick, and the splash from Muraco from the top leads him to where he needs to be in a victory. I don't know that they necessarily need as many runs. Also, the modified Tombstone piledriver, pretty big deal for Muraco at the time. Tombstone in 1981, 82, 83 even, pretty big move. Of course, then you see more of it in Japan from guys like the Dynamite Kid, Tiger Mask, and the like. But here in the early 80s, especially in the WWF, it's a little bit sloppier than the one The Undertaker gets known for, and certainly a little more awkward. But then we see Martel and Garea, your tag team champions, and Lou Albano on the outside of the ring for reasons that are not totally clear, as he does not have a dog in the fight as far as this particular match is concerned. The main individuals facing off against the tag team champions, Ron Shaw and Johnny Raz, and obviously he's not going to invest in either one of them as a tag team competitor with the other people that he can get. But Shaw and Rods are on again, off again tag team partners. Again, your heels, unless they're challenging for the belts, are not seen as major guys. Martel managing to, or Garea managing to get caught up by Rod and Shaw in a armbar or series thereof. And pretty simple stuff. Dropkick under the chin by Tony Garea. Garea not willing to take a terrible backward step, but manages to do everything he possibly can. And, body slams and the like. Simple stuff, nothing too complex. Front face locks and super basic maneuvers along the way by Tony Garea. Garea takes the majority of the match. I think at this point the idea is to get Garea in there a little bit more and then only have Martel. Martel comes in and gets the sunset flip. Martel comes in for fire and drop kicks and sunset flips and wins, but Garea takes the majority of the heat in the match, and then Martel gets the hot tag. You always have the heat versus hot tag. Tom Lynch against George the Animal Steele is your next match here. A punch kick by Steele, very basic offense. He bites the turnbuckle, gets things going. Fred Blassie with the red suit on the outside of the ring, not exactly liking the backward step that he would have to take in any level of authority, so he manages to get the flying hammerlock, does Steele, and the victory for him and his manager here. Blassie's Army still in control in the middle of August 1981. We'll be back with more right after this.